Caution: this game contains scenes of violence and gore, as well as depictions of criminal acts. These acts are strictly punished by law. Please do not attempt to imitate them. This game also contains themes of sexual violence and self harm. This game is a work of fiction. Any relationship to real persons, groups, places, or crimes is coincidental.
Came back to my senses and saw that I was in front of the computer monitor. Rimi's comet was gone. Shogun's I'll kill you was gone too. I looked around the room, and Rimi's corpse was nowhere to be seen. It was a relief to know she hadn't been killed, but I was disappointed to know she hadn't really. Fuck off, nigga. Why didn't you come? I can't. Can't you see how? Kill yourself. Genuinely, I need this nigga to kill himself now. I'm tired of it. We are 14 hours, 15 hours, 16 hours into this shit. Let me go. I just keep adding numbers to it. Okay, I just keep adding numbers into it. I am 16.7 hours into this shit, and this nigga is still a bum. I'm fucking tired of it. Get that dick sword, all right? Throw a pair of balls, nigga. Get the D sword, and fucking go do something with your life. Improve, nigga. Become better. Because holy shoot, I'm fucking tired of it. This was so much. What was so much fun about stalking me like this? Does this mean I'd been chosen as the next victim? Shogun was finally ready to put his plan into action. Was I the perfect patsy to make? Was I the perfect Pat Fusty to take the fall for his murders? Somebody save me! Save me! Oh, bomb! Maybe you should have spent that fucking weekend. It's like actually trying to materialize the D sword in your hand instead of sitting and jerking off to another. I mean, yeah, you're 17, but still, nigga. Maybe you should have spent the weekend trying to get the D sword instead of jerking off to a 17-year-old anime girl. I don't have anything else after that. I'm scared to be alone. I didn't want to be alone. I wanted somebody to be by my side. I wanted somebody to protect me. That's right, school. If I go to school, Mimi was there. I couldn't handle being alone and scared anymore. I stripped off the sweatshirt I always wore at home and quickly changed my uniform and left the base. The cold wind outside my headache made my headache feel a little better. Shibuya seemed more tense than usual. Maybe it was the earthquake. You hear the sounds of sirens in the distance. When one stopped, another started. I couldn't tell if they were fireworks or gunshots. Probably both. Yamate Street. Just one street over from where I was talking was at it might be too late at night for me to keep going on. Where I was walking was at a standstill. Several cars had been in head-on collisions and abandoned where they sat. There was no sign of the drivers. The abandoned cars were blocking the road and causing a traffic jam. Other drivers were furiously banging on their horns. As I slowly and unsteadily walked toward the school, a dog ran past me howling. It was a chihuahua with bloodshot eyes. Its tiny body was running at full speed, dragging a leash behind it. Drool was pouring in its open mouth. Had it gotten separated from its owner? As I watched it distractedly, I stumbled over something and almost fell. There was a crack in the ground. That's what I tripped on. Did the earthquake cause it? I stopped and looked up at the sky. There were several crowds now, lazily traveling through the muddy blue sky. Supposedly the sky had gone white like an aurora right after the quake. There were no traces of that left now. And this wasn't the Shibuya I knew. I felt really tense and uneasy. It wasn't just the earthquake. It wasn't just the headache. It wasn't just those things. It felt like a terrible urge was going to overcome me at any second. Just walking down the street for some reason made me want to kill someone. By the time I reached the school gate, it felt so cold that my body wouldn't start shaking. My headache had come back. I could see a crowd near the third-year students' building. I looked for Rimi there. Strangely, they were all looking up at the school building. Hey, Taku! Misumi ran up to me. Good, I could ask him where Rimi was. I didn't realize you'd come to school today. No, I guess that doesn't matter now. He looked pale and his expression was deadly serious. It was rare to see Misumi so badly shaken. What had happened? It's bad, man. It's really bad. Bad? What was bad? Some girl's about to kill herself, right? She was saying she could fly. Just crazy, crazy. I'd love to see. Oh, it's Ayase's ass up there. I hope she falls soon. I could hear voices around me saying it could be. A terrible thought ran to my mind. I looked up slowly to where the rest of the students were looking. Who would have fucking guessed? At the edge of the roof was a girl. She was holding Kamoshida's medal in her hand. Her name was Shiho, last name. She was holding a D-sword, just like in her concert. She was standing there like she was offering a prayer to God in heaven. It was Ayase Kishimoto. It lurks in the shadow of a wicked heart, a thin thing which cannot be seen. Ayase Kishimoto was feeling the wind on her body. It was cold, just with the slightest hint of winter. Her expression was pained, and beads of sweat were dripping down on her cheeks. I try to get away from it, but this unending nightmare. Suime's academy roof was surrounded by an almost 2-meter high fence. She was standing in the narrow 30-centimeter space on the outside of it. She'd been there for almost 10 minutes. One more step and she'd fall off the roof of a 4-story building. Below her was a crowd of students, watching with bated breath. Shall someday become a blade and slash apart my body. She called for the police and an ambulance, but perhaps because of the earthquake a few hours ago, no one had arrived yet. The teachers were running around trying to get mats ready if the worst happened. The shield of indifference helps the people avoid the flames of war. But Ayase stood tall and still like the chaos below. Nothing to do with her. If anything, it looked like she was deliberately cutting herself off from the world below. Her head was tilted up at the sky, and her eyes were closed. She almost looked like a young priestess praying to her god. Her body was completely motionless in the slight wind on the roof. An impressive feat of balance, considering the sword she was carrying was almost her own height. The enemy on this newborn battlefield is the wicked one within the heart. The sword, her D-sword, was flashing with the pale light, like it was having trouble breathing. Ayase's own breath seemed to be in sync with the light, and her own breath was breathed pain. She let out a small, soft whisper. Evil can sometimes have a will of its own and manifests in our world. The words she whispered were quickly drowned out by the wind. Ayase opened her eyes, turning toward the amber-red sky above the Shibuya high-rises. This world is filled with evil delusions. Everyone loves the misery of others. I close my eyes. I put my hands over my ears, but it doesn't help. They won't leave me alone. They never have. As she whispered, she brought the huge sword to her chest. She embraced it with both arms. Strangely, the sharp-looking blade didn't pierce her skin at all. I wanted to go home, to the other world where the Great Will lives. For that, I accepted everything and ripped apart my heart. The dream of being a vessel of chaos had Noah. Ayase's expression twisted with sadness. Tears silently fell from her eyes. The wind blew them off her face and into the sky. But Aladadale is stirring within the womb. There's no time left. I can't find them. I can't find them at all. The door to heaven, the sage, the guide, the 7 divine punishments. Is the legend of the Black Knights true? I've sung so many songs. That's not enough. Then, O great will, I will tell you what I shall do. Ayase slowly spread out her arms, as she was trying to embrace the sky, as if showing herself to some god high in his heaven. I shall fly. The sword's pale pulsation grew in intensity. Ayase closed her eyes again. A final tear fell from the corner of her eye. Please, I offer you this vessel. So take my soul. And the girl stepped forward without the slightest hesitation. There was nothing left there to support her body. Take it to where it belongs. She felt the cold wind gently blow against her cheek. She looked down beneath her. And saw a floating door rising towards her. Beyond it was the sky she saw. All I could do was watch helplessly. Ayase spread out her hands, slowly stepped off the roof like there was an invisible staircase there. Screams and loud murmurs rose from the crowd of gawkers. No longer supported like anything, she fell like a puppet with the strings cut. Everything was happening in slow motion. Ayase's body fell. It fell so slowly, but there was no stopping it. She was going to die. Ayase was going to die. There was no way I could help her. If she fell from that height, she died for sure. The ground below her was solid concrete. Her bones would shatter. Her organs would be smashed. Her brains and dark red blood would be splashed all over the place. If there was at least a flower bed there, if there was soft earth instead of concrete, then maybe she'd survive. I didn't want to see anyone die. I tried to close my eyes, and then I felt it, the prickling at the back of my neck. I turned. Nobody was looking at me. One was looking up towards Ayase down at the ground. Whose eyes are those? I heard a noise. The sound of someone hitting the ground. I'd never heard that sound before. It was less loud than I thought it would be. No way. Mikisumi was standing next to me in shock. He was looking where Ayase had fallen, but instead of showing fear or surprise, his expression was one of surprise. It wasn't just Mikisumi either. The whole crowd of gawking onlookers had fallen silent, like they weren't sure what had just happened. She's alive. Huh? Alive? Ayase was lying on the ground. Her bones had been shattered? I couldn't tell. Had her organs been smashed? I didn't know. Her brains were splattered all over the place. Her dark red blood wasn't anywhere to be seen either. A soft but clearly audible moan escaped her lips. She was alive. She had passed out and wasn't moving at all, but she didn't seem to be injured. The most I could see was a small trickle of blood on her forehead. She'd fallen all the way from the top roof. Now she was almost unharmed. She was lying on the top of the flower bed. Flower bed? Had there been a flower bed there? He put his delusion there. Am I correct in saying that these results were very different than the initial expectations? We took our first step towards evolution. None of us was told anything about 3-digit casualties. Was there a problem with the plan? No. I'd like the both of you to think about the human history of evolution. If you're trying to tell me that evolution always involves some sort of sacrifice, then fine. The casualties are irrelevant. What's important is that this wasn't in the plan. This outcome was within expected parameters, at least in my mind. Then why didn't you inform us beforehand? It takes time and preparation to keep the wrong information from spreading to public. We aren't sacrificing this much money and this many lives so you can entertain yourself. Don't forget that. Don't worry. As I said, this is in respect to values. Before long, you won't have to worry about getting enough votes during elections, or having your overzealous evangelism attract the attention of local prosecutors. Before long, we will change Japan. No. Sawardo forever. Silence. If the Committee of 300 finds out about this act of treason, we're all finished. Your job is to ensure the plan proceeds as scheduled. Nothing less and nothing more. We'll ensure this gets covered up. But where? So, let's hear you report on the second generation. I'm sure the two of you will be completely satisfied. Noah, too, will in fact be. Fucking telling Chris to open the doorknob and turn the doorknob, and then Chris turns the doorknob and does nothing else. My lungs were in desperate need of oxygen. As I gasped for air, I took a quick glance from around the park. There was nobody here. The people I was afraid of, Shogun and Yua, were nowhere to be seen. Relieved, I decided to catch my breath. It was almost evening. The sky was slowly shifting from blue to the color of twilight. I like that more often we're seeing his delusions to not be wavy. When it's not wavy, but it's a delusion, then like he's projecting it onto reality. That, like, he had just said he wondered what kind of underwear Ayase had, and then there's an Ayase with white, even though it's blue, underwear. And then he said he thinks about Rimi in her underwear, and then Rimi in her underwear shows up and walks out the door, and then he comes back to, and the real Rimi does the exact same things, just with her clothes on. And you can't tell it's the whole time, the last however many hours before those two events, you could tell when delusions were happening because they were the wavy wobble thing. But we're starting not to be able to tell because he's actually projecting them onto reality. Just like with Ayase there, He thought if only there was a flower bed, she'd be perfectly fine. And then there was a flower bed, and she was, I won't say perfectly fine yet, but she's gonna be. I promise. The park was as calm and quiet as ever, as if all the craziness at school had never even happened. In the end, ISA's jump was treated as an attempted suicide. She was carried off in an ambulance. I have no way of knowing what had happened to her after that. Afterward, I had given up on trying to find Remy and ran all the way here instead. Well, it's a good thing you wanted. It was a good thing you. It's a good thing you wanted to go see Remy because if you hadn't been there, she would have been fucked. Like, yeah, you, her, and Senna, and everybody else who has a D sword, except for I don't know if the other characters who have a D sword just have it because of promotional art. But you, her, and Senna can project your delusions on reality. You, Ayase, and Senna can project your delusions on reality. But if she had gone, would she have gone through that door if he hadn't been there? That is the question. When Ayase had jumped, when Ayase had fallen, I was sure she was dead. But she'd survived. I don't know how, but she survived. She was breathing. She hadn't looked injured at all. A fall from that height should have killed anybody, but she miraculously, Shiho survived. Because she'd fallen right on top of a soft flower bed. But that was impossible, physically impossible. There had been no flower bed there. Right until the moment she hit the ground, there had been an asphalt parking lot. A bunch of teachers' cars had been parked there. So where had that flower bed come from? Did I do that? Did I do that? Yes, Sonic the Hedgehog, you did. I remember having a delusion that she might survive if there was a flower bed below. But that didn't mean... Could a delusion that only lasted an instant like that become reality? Maybe I really did. I'd already seen something similar happen when Ayase split into two people before. Could I even do something as incredible as making a flower bed appear out of nowhere? And without a D-sword? And that flower bed was still there after she'd fallen, too. When the teachers had run over to her, they'd left footprints in the dirt. The flowers, I think they were the same flowers as the ones in the courtyard, had snapped at the stems when the EMTs walked over them. It's probably still there, too. In my delusion, had become reality, it stayed that way. It hadn't disappeared like the other Ayase. What was more is that everybody had accepted it as natural. No one had wondered why there was a flower bed there. Did I do that? Oi, Senna. I heard a sharp voice calling out from behind me. I turned around just in time to see her hand grab out and reach me by the collar. Before I even had time to resist, I was slammed hard into a piece of playground equipment. I hit my head back and moaned in pain. Okay, you did green last night. It was you, wasn't it? You're the one who made that flower bed. It was Senna who attacked me out of nowhere. She was yanking my collar hard, too. I couldn't breathe. I tried flaying my arms around, but she didn't let go at all. There was an intense light in her eyes that must have been murderous. I shivered, shaking my head frantically, thinking she was going to kill me. Don't lie to me! Senna's hot breath tickled my cheek. Her face was so close, I was worried she might bite me. Why was this woman so violent and scary? Nigga booty fire incident signal. Let me go, damn it! Ugh. It flailed my hands and struck her on the cheek. Senna fell hard to the ground. Ugh. She was clutching her cheek with her hand and looking all up at me, slightly afraid. All the trace of her earlier attitude was gone. Her eyes almost looked as she was about to cry. I never seen her look so wicked and proud before. It stirred up a sadistic streak within me. All the anger that had been building up within me exploded out all at once. Don't screw at me. These were fighting words. Words I'd never normally use, but I said them anyways. Saying them felt good. I felt a lot better. I love... See, he has way too many delusions of just beating on bitches. Like, man, these females... He's beating on all these bitches and females and breed baskets. Okay, maybe I need to stop. But anyways, he has like way too many delusions of hitting girls, and this nigga's just a bum. But it was really mean to just slap me like that. Senna looked at me like she was about to cry and made me want to say more. The way she was lying there limp. The way her skirt had come... Oh my god, nigga. Dude! Dude! Did you think you could push me around? Sure, I may look like a wimp. It's probably easier to push me around than some DQing kind. It's a lot of fun, isn't it? You bitch! I can play hard when I have to, you slut! Don't think I'll just let you get away with this forever. Kanojo! Okay, well it's not a bad word, but if you know, you know. If you know, you know. Couldn't hold back my anger anymore. I wonder. I'm not fucking saying that. Dude, come on, man. We're 16 hours into this shit. We're 17 hours into this shit, probably. You're just being a fucking. Dude, come on. What are you doing? Shut up! Grabbed her wrist. Dude, what are you about to do? What are you about to do? What are you about to do? No. No. What is he about to do? I hear fabric ruffling. What is this nigga about to do? It was under my control. She was mine to do with as I saw fit. I had no idea the world could be such a wonderful place. Nigga, what? Why hadn't I done this from this far? What was I so scared of? You're in your head right now. Let's have a little heart-to-heart, okay? This nigga is unabashedly probably bottom two main characters. Okay, I won't go that far. But in good pieces of media, he is a bottom two main characters, all right? Bottom one is Rudius, okay? And I'm talking about in good pieces of media, things that I enjoy. But the main character does a lot to bring it down. And the only reason why Takumi here is number 2, despite the fact that he's just had a delusion where he fought back against Senna and was about to domination loss, hentai tag rape her, is that Rudius is a pedophile for way longer than Takumi is just a fucking bum, all right? And he's not even a bum in the good way. You see, what's his name from Monogatari? I almost said Fuminori. His name, it's on the tip of my fucking glands. Fuck, what was his name? Araragi. You see, Araragi is a bum because he gets his ass beat all the time despite being like partially vampire, okay? Like in Nisei Monogatari and Tsukihi Phoenix, he goes against Yozuru, I think that's her name, and he sends Shinobu after Boku wa Ononoki. Okay, so Shinobu's fighting Ononoki and Ononoki has the unlimited rulebook and is undead, and he's fighting Kaguya. I forgot her name. Anyways, so the two of them are fighting, right? And they're fighting each other. They're fighting both their opponents in one-on-ones, and the whole fucking time that that's going down, it's implied that basically Shinobu Kishot is just beating Ononoki's ass, or at least just barely not, because Ononoki has the unlimited rulebook, right? But Araragi, the whole time, he just keeps talking his ass off, saying, my sister is still my sister. I don't care if she's a phoenix or a cuckoo bird. In this case, I don't care if she's a mortal or whatever the fuck, because at the end of the day, I still love her as if she was biologically my own. I still live as if she was my own. And I love her. And even though he keeps saying this shit, right? And even though he and Shinobu are supposed to be really strong aberrations due to being vampires, due to being the strongest vampires, he's still getting his ass kicked and kicked and kicked and beaten and shit rock. And it's like that constantly throughout all of Monogatari. And that's because the point isn't for Araragi to win all of his battles. It might be hard and annoying to listen, to read, or to watch Araragi get his shit rocked in by Karen and by an aberration pro.
and to just have him pull out his wallet and get that shit taken from him, and he does nothing against Kaiki when that shit happens to him, and that shit pissed me off. But despite things like that, or like when Nadeko kicked their asses, or when Suruga kicked his ass, Kanbaru, he still at the end of every arc manages to pull through, except for at the end of Nadeko Snake, but we don't talk about that. And so that's why, even though Araragi is a bum, he's amazing and an amazing main character. And his interactions with certain members of the populace don't really get to me that much because I don't know. I feel like Araragi doesn't truly have it in him to be a Diddy Blood, you know? I feel like he's all bark, no bite. If he had the chance, he wouldn't really take advantage of Hachikuji. He doesn't have the balls to do that. He doesn't have the attraction to little girls to do that. He's not a Diddy Blood. He's all bark, he's no bite. Okay? You look at Rudius. I'm not even going to get into Rudius. All right, I'm already spent way too much time talking about this rather than reading the fucking visual novel right in front of me and having Senna here just blink and stare into my eyes. Okay? Rudius is a bum because he's a pedophile for way too long. And to sum it all up, the girls he groomed, they grow up and are still in love with him because he groomed them, okay? And there's no if or but to the matter. He was an adult with a kid's mind, so even the simple act of being Sylphiette's friend is grooming. Even if he went through that whole time without any sexual desires towards Sylphiette or Eris, just from the simple fact of knowing them while they were kids, while he had the adult mind, being Sylphiette's friend and spending so much time with her that she fell in love with him as a little girl, and that Eris fell in love with him, that's still grooming, even if he didn't want it to happen, which he did. And that's what makes Rudius a bum, because he grooms two girls, and then they grow up and they feed into his harem. Okay, and I don't really have that much. I have a big issue with him having three wives, but it's not so much as him having a harem as it is how it comes about. Sylphiette is groomed by Lilia to be very permissive about what Rudius does. And she tells him as long as the women that he brings into the house are he is actually loving and not just lustful towards, that she'll accept them. She's also pregnant when he cheats on her. I mean, there is an alternate timeline where she gets stoned and called a witch, and he fucking nukes that entire town. And I've seen people say that he's a bad guy for doing that. No, he was absolutely justified in fucking doing that. She gets killed, and the little children are throwing stones at her dead body. I'd nuke that shit too if I was Rudius, okay? But Rudius is still a bum for being a pedophile. And this nigga Takumi Nishijo, I have spent 16.7 hours and counting with him. I have spent 16.7 hours and counting with him in the universe. A month, a full month has passed. And this nigga is still talking about some XXX Moe porn, buying copies of H games physically and having that shit in his room. His room is still not clean. All right. The girls that he brings into his room, Remy still expects it. And you wouldn't even have thought he was a Nugent killer if she didn't if there wasn't so much of a mess that she fell over and looked under his bed and saw one of the stakes. Or at least that's the assumption I'm working under right now. This nigga is undeniably a bum. And I'm so fucking tired of it. I'm so tired of it. I really am, okay? And this shit, it has me so gripped. I genuinely love this visual novel. I love it so much. But this nigga right here, and maybe I made the sandwich by choosing that delusion. But the fact that when I chose the delusion, I didn't know what was going to happen. And then it cuts to him slapping her, and then proceeding to get ready to try and rip her clothes off to rape her. I am tired of this nigga. I am so tired of him. And however many chapters are left are gonna have to do some fucking heavy, and I mean
heavy pulling to get me to like him. I like Shito Itsuka more than this guy. I like Shito Itsuka more than this guy. If you haven't read Data Life, that nigga goes on a date with his sister and kisses her. And yes, it's to lock away her spirit powers, but I don't give a fuck. And the whole time, he's like the fucking volume before, she's getting mad at him for putting himself into dangerous situations while he can't regenerate from it. And then he's like, man, I guess I really do have to go on a date with my sister in order to seal away her power. You couldn't just assume your sister loved you. And then keep in mind, the love that she has for him is probably incestual, because when he seals every other spirit, he has to take them on dates to raise their likability, like in a dating sim. Okay? And it's the same formula for his sister Kotori. He takes her on a date like in a dating sim and to raise her likability. So she probably is incestuous for her brother. I'm calling it now. She's going to be incestuous for her adopted brother. I mean, they're adopted, but it's still incest. Okay, anyways, rant done. This nigga Takumi Nishijo is a bum. Bottom two main characters for me in good pieces of media, okay? Because he will still forever be a better character than, like, Toya Michizuki. Well, that's not his name. I don't know. The nigga from Smartphone East guy. He will always forever be a better main character than, like, Daisuke Aoi or the nigga from Latte no Omocha or I don't know, fucking I like him more than Senpai from Nagatoro-san. Whatever. Let me just get back to reading. Point is I'm tired of this fucking nigga, and I'm tired of his bullshit. And then that's and the only reason why I'm not getting up right now and turning this shit off, and I would come back to it. I'm not gonna drop it over that. I'm a I really hope my mic didn't pick that up. But I'm a very devil's advocate kind of thing. All right. I love Happy Sugar Life. I wasn't put, I was, I already knew. Okay, I was introduced to Happy Sugar Life when I was in like middle school because it came out in 2018 and Anime America made a video on it. So I was introduced to that kind of thing early. So I was more lax towards Sato and Shio's relationship, knowing that it was gonna be like this is wrong. Let's see how this ends. I knew it was gonna be a tragedy when I went into it. Okay, so I was super lax because of the fact that when I was like 9, I was only watching ecchi. I'm kind of like super lax towards this shit, and I'll only quit something if it's just man. If it's just the writer going, man, I love rape. I love raping bitches. I love raping seedbeds and making women my whores. I'll only quit if it's like that. That right there, that is disgusting, and I hate Takumi Nishijo for that. But it's not enough to get me to stop playing the game at this point because I am so in love with the story. And I'm in love with all the characters except for him. But the only thing keeping me from getting up right now and taking a break from it is A, the 10-minute rant I just went on, maybe 15. And B, the fact that this shit has me gripped. But I'll tell you this, that right there, not enough to make me quit this game. And I understand if it is for you. I completely understand if that is for anybody else. Because that was some low tier shit that this guy could have done. That is. That's. It's just disgusting, okay? There's no other way to put it. It's just disgusting. It's just nasty. But let's get back to it, all right? It's just. I get just sucked into it so good. It's giving me your 22-year-old sister head every time opening her mouth like Kirby, and my dick is just going like, whoop, and I'm going, and then it spits me out, and it shoves a fishy, hot, unpH'd balance, not washed, ham in the summer sun pussy in front of my nose, and I just go like I'm smelling salts. And I get pulled out of the story and fully unimmersed. And I remember I'm in the real world in my real room. And I look at this wall on my side. I'm like, damn, there's a real wall right here. There's a physical object. I'm in the real life. Okay, I get so unimmersed from this shit every time he does anything like that. My boom arm came loose. Let me go put that back on. Hey, don't ignore me. I came back to my senses and found I wasn't actually on top of Senna. In fact, she was still pinning me to the playground equipment. Huh? What? The sun changed position, having me feeling a little confused. I asked who taught you how to do that. I had no memory of being asked that at all. But it happened while I was fast. I had no idea what was going on, but Senna was still shaking me violently. Who was it? Answer me! Do you have anything to do with the Cosmic Church of Divine Light? Cosmic Church of the what now? I shook my head frantically. I couldn't breathe. I was... Future Jace, put the song R.I.P. George Floyd right here. Unless I just upload this shit blindly and forget to do that. Just before I passed out, Senna let go of me. I collapsed where I stood. I tried to cough. I coughed and tried to force as much air in my lungs as I could. It was the exact opposite of the delusion I had a second ago. I felt even more pathetic. I hope you feel pathetic for that bullshit, nigga. If not, then fine. I'm sorry. She turned to leave. It looked like she didn't turn to me after all. Is that the case then? I worked my courage and spoke. I thought she ignored me, but she stopped and turned back. She was still frowning, but at least it looked like she would listen to me. What do you mean by power? Senna knew something. She'd asked if I was the one who created a flower bed. Everybody else there ended up thinking that the flower bed had been there from the start, but for some reason, Senna knew differently. How'd that flower bed? It was your delusion, right? My delusion, yeah, it was, but it's possible to turn delusions into reality. You slip something that's not real into anybody's vision. In other words, you make people think that the error is real. But if all you can do is see it, it's nothing more than an illusion. An illusion isn't real, it didn't exist. If that flower bed wasn't an illusion, ISA would be dead right now. ISA had survived because it wasn't an illusion, it was a real flower bed. There are 3 numbers that can explain the entire way the world functions. 0, 1, and -1. The D-sword is a shortcut to creating that -1. But you did what you did without a D-sword. She was starting to go off the rails again. No, but what Senna was saying wasn't some girl's crazy ramblings. The VR technology patent was real. At least maybe Senna knew something after all. Listen to me. Don't make any more errors. I'm telling you this for your own good. And if you see any other errors, tell me. Her words almost sounded like a threat, and then she turned away. It must be so wonderful to believe in just the things you can see. Senna whispered that, and this time she left the park. R.I.P. George Floyd. There was a silence on the floor of the A.H. Tokyo General Hospital where the psychiatric wards were located. The surgery and emergency wards were supposedly dealing with a rash of unexplainable comas that had started to occur after the earthquake. But the psych ward had nothing to do with any of that. If anything, they'd finished up their outpatient exams a little earlier than scheduled. A few days from now, they might have a flood of people experiencing PTSD from the quake. But for today, at least, there was nothing left for the outpatient staff to do. Shino Hazuki, one of the nurses, had been working here since last night's night shift. Belatedly realized she'd barely taken a break the whole time. She was hungry, too. The ward had lost one of its doctors the other day. He'd been murdered horribly in one of the Nugent incidents. His replacement hadn't come yet, so there weren't enough people. But all that was left for the day were a few minor tasks. She could hand over to the night staff and she'd finally be able to go home. She slapped her cheeks with her hands, telling herself she just had to hang in there a little longer, and began to quickly walk across the lobby. Suddenly she felt a gaze from behind, a prickling out the back of the neck. She shivered. She spun around out of sheer reflex, but there was nothing there but a quiet, empty hallway. Huh? Miss Nurse. Get... Hazuki was startled. The voice had come from the completely opposite of the direct... Fuck. She thought the lobby was empty. There was one person left. One beer left. He called out to her like rappers screaming ears until you're deaf. It was a man, handsome, if still young-faced. His pallor was healthy, and he certainly didn't look sick. You're... Can I have a moment of your time? I guess. Thanks. The man gave an embarrassed smile and suddenly grabbed her by the arm and pulled her from the lobby towards the stairs. The man, Mamoru Sua, took out a small black book from his pocket and showed it to her. He flipped it open and showed her his police ID. Okay, I got surprised there because Mamoru Chiba is Tuxedo Mask. That's all I'm saying. So, what can I do for you? Da-na-na, na-na-na. She still had work to do and was feeling a little uneasy. Sua seemed to realize this, so without wasting any more time, he took a photo out from his pocket and showed it to her. Do you recognize this boy? It was a photo of the listless-looking Takumi Nishijo. Because of the nature of her work, Hazuki prided herself on being good with faces. She nodded without even really thinking about whether it was okay to answer or not. Takumi Nishijo, you're sure? Yes, but... Her hesitation was natural. Giving anyone, even the police, information about a patient was strictly against the rules. But of course, Sue had known that when he talked to her. His casual attitude suddenly vanished, and a serious look appeared on his face. He dropped his voice as he spoke. I need you to do me a favor. Can you show me Takumi Nishijo's medical records? Huh? I can't. No, that's impossible. It could be the key to cracking the case. Hazuki wasn't sure what to do. She turned to leave, but Sue got in front of her and blocked her. Please leave me alone. I'll make sure it doesn't get back to you, so please. Finally got on his knees and began to beg. Stop it! Really, I can't! I need your help to make sure nobody else gets killed. What could she do to make him give up? Hazuki couldn't come up with anything. She just stood there helplessly. Don't y'all have people tailing his house? If y'all don't have people tailing his house, okay, then, which you said you did, okay, like a week and a half ago, y'all said that you had niggas around his house monitoring his shit. Maybe y'all don't, okay, and maybe y'all don't have police or the time, especially with the Nugent incidents, to trail him all the time. But why did nobody fucking arrest him when he came back to his house that night? After Senna left, I spent a while just standing there in shock, and quickly dashed home. Fortunately, I didn't run into Shogun or Yua. In the end, I'd come back here without ever finding Rimi. Yua is my favorite character so far. After the earthquake and what had happened with ISA, I was sure they'd sent students home early for the day. Even if it was possible, Rimi might show up here soon. Until then, I'd have to sit here quaking in fear, I guess. I decided I would keep my mind off the fear by using my now functional computer to gather information. There I saw my phone where I left it next to my monitor. The light on it was flashing. I opened it and saw I received a message. It's from your sister, or her parents. I guess to Nanami, nothing had happened today that was a big deal. Lucky for her, of course, I didn't answer. I decided to look up anything I could on ISA. I couldn't get to Phantom's official homepage. The media didn't have anything to say about her either. To be fair, the earthquake was probably bigger news than an attempted suicide by the vocalist of an indie band. Right now, I had no way of knowing if she was okay. There was a lot more information about the earthquake published now than there had been when I looked last. The number of dead had climbed up to 118. There were over 300 injured, too. I couldn't believe there was a 3-digit number of fatalities. The epicenter of the quake was Shibuya, and the damage was limited to Shibuya to the extent that was surprising. The quake itself was intensity 5. There was also an article saying that every piece of magnetic media in Shibuya had been destroyed. The thought of the tragedy had befallen me happening to other people made. Yeah, fuck that.